Live from Huntertown, Indiana, it's Soarin on the air. So today we're going to do something a little different. We showed you some of our birds, but when we have some of our meetings, we get to have people talk about other birds around the world, birds that we don't normally see, and see how these birds are different than ours, but also see what the similarities are. So we had a number of people put together programs about birds that they want to learn more about. So let's get started. So the species of the month this time is presented Pam Whitaker. And she's going to talk about harpy eagles. So, unfortunately, Pam is away doing a presentation up at the Boy Scout camp today and teaching the kids all about birds. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's tomorrow. Today, she's over teaching kids about owls and owl pellets. So, let's talk. I'm going to do her program for her. And so we're going to start off with the harpy eagle. And this is a picture of a harpy eagle. And these are large, large birds. And they're found from about southern Mexico. In fact, they've been pretty well extirpated from there all the way down into South America. Primarily, you find them in the jungle area. So, how big is a harpy eagle? Well, they're about 40 inches long. And they have a wingspan of about 84 inches, so it's a little bit wider than me, okay? So they're pretty wide. But one of the things is that they have what they call a wide wing chord. In other words, the thickness of their wings from the leading edge to the trailing edge of their wing is very wide. So that means that they can carry heavy loads. Their weight, a male may weigh about 13, 14 pounds. Female, about 18 pounds. And there's some records of some of them being a lot heavier than that. But we don't want to shame any female harpies here. Coloration, there is no sexual dimorphism with the birds. The females, the males look alike, except for the females tend to be about 20% larger than the males. One of the big things about them is they have a tarsus of about 4 inches. In other words, they have a really big foot, okay? In fact, if you get up to this bird and you get, if you compare your wrist to that wrist is as thick as mine, okay? So it's a big bird. So where do we find these harpy eagles? Well, they're usually in the rainforest up to about 3,000 feet. Sometimes there's a few that might struggle up to about 5,000, but they pretty well stay down in lowlands and hunt from there. They build a huge nest just below the crown of the trees. So get these large trees. I have a beautiful picture of one of the trees. It was probably about 10 feet in diameter, and then way up there, about 50 feet up, you can see the nest up there. But Mom wouldn't stick her head out for us no matter how much noise we made. They have spell check, missed that. Okay. They have territories about 10 miles in diameter, and Pam, you spelled that wrong. Okay.
Hey, she was a gym teacher.
Yeah, she's a gym teacher, so.
Nothing against gym teachers.
Yes, anyways. So they have a territory about 10 miles in diameter. So they cover quite a wide range. And they feed primarily on mammals. They'll take things like small monkeys. They won't go after the howlers, but they could do the capuchins and some of the smaller monkeys. They'll go after sloths. Sometimes they'll go after small capybaras, the babies, that kind of thing, sometimes pigs. They also will go up after snakes and caimans and whatever else happens to be around. They have 2 hunting techniques. One of the hunting techniques is wait and see. So they just sit below the emergence level of the crown of the tree and just sit there patiently and wait for some prey to pass underneath. So that and then they just drop down on top of it and grab it up. Or the other technique they use is perch to perch. Perch to perch means as they fly across the jungle, they'll go from one perch to another, and while they're doing that, going across, they do look down and check out, see what's down there, and if they happen to see something, they drop down, or they just go to the next perch. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll do perch to perch, but they'll circle a tree and then come back around and sit on the perch. So the animal on the ground says, oh, it passed by, and then she came back up from behind. You know, sometimes there is some cooperative hunting between the male and the female, but basically it's all singularly done. The harpy eagle breeds at about 6 to 7 years old, so usually the females mature faster, kind of like humans, and so they mature faster. So usually the female starts breeding at 6, the male at about 7. They're monogamous, so they mate for life, so that they stay together. They only produce one chick about every 2 years, and so the male provides is the main food provider during incubation. And so while mom's sitting on the egg and getting Junior ready to come out of the shell, he's bringing food to her. Occasionally they will switch and they will share the incubation duties, but typically it's going to be the female that sits on the egg. Then they care for chicks up to about 18 months. I was very fortunate. My first harpy eagle that I saw was down in Venezuela, and we went to the nest site, which was about a 7-mile hike through the jungle. Got there, somebody had taken down the nest because they're deforesting the place. They're harvesting the lumber, and we just happened to get there, and the mother eagle was bringing in about an 8-foot-long snake to the baby.
Wow.
So we happened to just get there just right time. And that was the last slide on that roll of film. When you know it, okay.
Wow.
Every time I got the reload, well, it was all over. So, that's the way nature happens. So I wasn't that lucky. So just how big is a harpy eagle? Just to give you some kind of comparison. There's our bald eagle. We think that Jeff is pretty big. Well, maybe he's not so big. This guy here, he's about normal height for most people. And here's a harpy eagle in relationship. So they're really big birds. Now, one of the things you'll notice about the harpy eagle, and I guess I did mention it before when I was talking about the length and the wingspan. Basically, for a long bird like this, they have very short wings. So they're like accipiters, okay, like our Cooper's hawks and sharpshins. They have long tails, but kind of short wings. Well, that gives them a lot of maneuverability in the jungle. So as they sweep through, they grab things. But they're very interesting. I've only seen 5 of them over all the years. And typically they stay out of sight. They don't want to be seen. And in 2 cases, I saw them carrying snakes. So that was pretty important. I never did get to see them hauling a monkey or capybara or anything like that. So this was down at a museum down in Panama. My wife was down in Panama, and they happened to visit this place, and they had this picture set up there. And she actually went into a cage with immature harpy eagles that they were rehabilitating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was wow.
She,
And she survived it, you know. But anyway, so she was very fortunate. So last time she goes on a trip by herself
those would be big babies.
with these big babies. So next. Well, there are some, if you will, relatives. They're really not relatives. They're not in the same genus or anything like that. But there are some big birds out there, like the Philippine eagle here. Sometimes it's called a monkey-eating eagle, because the scientists who, quote unquote, discovered the bird, when they examined the stomach contents, there were some monkey parts in there. So bad hair day, it looks like there. So anyways, so it has similar dimensions to the harpy eagle. And when you see these things flying, I was over in the Philippines, got to see 2 of them. One was flying, looked like a small airplane coming in for a landing. And so it was soaring around. And then the other one was perched feeding a young one. So again, wrong place, wrong time, for taking a picture. So they're found in the Philippines, and there's 2, if you will, they're not subspecies, but there's 2 separations here. They may develop into subspecies. You have some up here on Luzon, and these guys up here apparently like to eat things, what they call flying lemurs, or what we call colugas, which are in the sort of related to bats. And their big animals are about twice the size of a squirrel, a fox squirrel, to give you an idea. And they glide from tree to tree. They don't fly. So you have those up on Luzon, and then down here in Mindanao, you have others. They eat a number of other things, and and to give you an idea of size, oh, yeah. Isn't that big? Yeah. My audience over here has just dropped their jaws. So here you are. So this is over, of course, in the Philippines, in one of the zoos over there. But you can see how big that bird is. And look at the size of the jesses. How would you like to go crayons flying that, Bo? Ooh. Ooh. So, again, I'll give you some dimensions a little later on, but it's about the same size as a harpy eagle, except this bird, the wing cord is thicker, or longer, if you will, so it has more lifting capacity, but it is about the same size. But look at the size of the beak there. Yeah. That is huge, you know. And then there's the Papuan eagle, okay, or New Guinea harpy eagle, and this is found quite a bit all over New Guinea, and I've only seen one of those, but again, it was raining, so the camera was put away, and didn't get a very good picture. So it's found out through all of New Guinea, and they just put a pic. I think they just took a map of New Guinea, cut out the mountains, and then said, okay, it's there. And yeah, I saw mine over in here, but I've been on both sides of the line here, and I've only seen one, and that was right about here. And that was just very fortunate, just between rainstorms that it came out. And then one is sort of classed in there, crested eagle, which occurs down in South America also. It's a little smaller than the harpy eagle, and but it's an impressive bird, as you can see here. And it's found basically along low areas. Okay, so they have along coastal areas of Brazil and Uruguay, Paraguay, and then up here, you know, along Panama and across, and then up into Belize and those places. So it's kind of widespread, but it's only found in lowland rainforest areas, and again, it acts like an accipiter. Okay, so it soars through the trees. All four of these birds have about the same kind of performance, where they do the same kind of thing, where you sit and wait for something to show up, or you go perch to perch hunting. They do not soar like red tails or anything like that. They pretty well stay into the foliage and into the trees. Very rarely we see them actually coming out above the trees or emergent area of the trees. So here's a comparison, so you get an idea about what you got here. You got our bald eagle, maybe up to about 84 inches, about 34 inches long, maybe weigh about 10 pounds. Harpies, about the same thing with wingspan, but the length is longer and the weight is heavier. Okay, and then the Philippine eagle is comparable. Okay, it's a little heavier. Like I said, it has a little bit deeper wing cord. The New Guinea eagle or the Papuan eagle is smaller yet, and the crested eagle is there. So if you have some questions, Gigi will be more than happy to answer them. Or we can get Pam on the phone and ask her. So the next bird that we had, is presented by Julian Price. Well, unfortunately, Jillian isn't here. She's on babysitting service today. Yeah. So her daughter finally went back to work, and so somebody has to take care of the baby. And I said, bring the baby along, but the baby's only 2 months old. And, well, snack size for Jeff, but no. We couldn't have him out there. Ooh, that's terrible. Okay. So anyway, I'm filling in for Jillian to talk about the lammergeier. She's got a lot nicer pictures than we had for the harpy. So we'll start off with the lammergeier. It's sometimes called the bearded vulture, or sometimes it's called the bone breaker vulture. Okay, and and these vultures are in a different family from the vultures in the United States. So this is what they consider an old world vulture. So has keen vision. Okay, has really sharp eyes, has really sharp talons, and has a strong curved beak capable of tearing flesh. So these guys, they don't wait for something to ferment for a while and then pop open or have something run over it. They tear it apart. Okay. And it's found mainly in parts of Africa and across a band that goes across from Europe all the way into China. So I saw my first ones up here in the Pyrenees, and then later on I've seen them over here in Morocco, down here in Kenya, and over here in Sichuan and in Pakistan. So they're pretty widespread, you know, and you know, again, if you looked at the coloration of the bird, you know, when they're sitting up on the cliffs, they pretty well blend in. So, how big are they? Well, they're about 37 to 49 inches long. Have a wingspan can reach 9 feet. So it's a really big bird. It does soar out there, and they can get kind of heavy, 17 pounds. They have long, narrow wings, and again, they're designed for soaring, you know, catching those thermals and go flying around looking for dead stuff primarily, even though they will take young lambs that have been born, and if they die or something like that, or if they see them out there, you know, right after birth, sometimes they'll land in a sheep flock and take the lambs during lambing times. It has a wedge-shaped tail, about 16 to 20 inches in length, and they can live a long time, 45 years in captivity. So you know, but the biggest thing, and I don't have the description continues. She didn't tell me what that was. But the big thing about these guys is they primarily feed on bone marrow. That's a big part of their diet. And how do you get bone marrow out of bones? Well, you have to have something to either run over it and smash the bones all to pieces, or what these guys do, they're kind of adaptive. They have learned to go up in the air, carrying a bone, and then they drop it on a nice hard rock. And, oh, here's the diet, okay. So they're scavengers, okay, they're vultures, okay. They actually don't eat meat, or very little of it, so they really go for the marrow in the bone. And acid content of stomach is pH 1. Whew, man, that's strong. Don't spill that on you. That's going to hurt. So mainly 90% is bone marrow of what they eat. So it's a really impressive animal. And during the breeding season, they feed on carrying, preferring limbs of sheep. Also, you know, if they can, lambs, that's really good. And they carry food to the nest rather than regurgitation. Okay, so that would save you there, Bo. You know, you wouldn't have to have them vomiting on you. They just carry the broken bones to you.
No regurg.
Yeah, so no regurg, right? So really handsome looking birds. Look at that beard there. You know, so and nest, huge nest. You know, all these nests, and I didn't mention on the harpy eagles that they make huge nests too. So just like our bald eagles, they produce. Hey, you get the shadow in there.
No, I'm not getting the shadow.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
The harpy eagles make huge nests, which they add sticks and stuff to year after year. So anyways, you can get these nests 3 feet across, 27 inches deep when they start, and they can end up about 8 feet across and about 3 feet deep. Female usually lays a clutch of 1 to 2 eggs. It takes about 60 days to incubate them. After hatching, they spend about another 100 to 130 days in the nest before fledging out. And the young may be dependent on the parents for about 2 years, and that forces the parents to nest in alternate years. So just sort of like the harpy eagles, where it takes almost a year and a half before the young one's ready to go, so they have to wait about 2 years between laying eggs or hatching out young ones. Oh yeah, so they're a beauty. But you see how it blends right in, so a lot of times when you're going through the mountainous areas on back roads, you really have to keep your eyes peeled to see these things, you know. Beautiful bird, look at that. Wish I could take pictures like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, there's that nice beard. So, let's go on to some other birds. Mm-hmm. Yay! Come on, come on. It's Bo!
Yay!
Yeah, so I'm going to turn it over to Bo now. She's going to tell you all about secretary birds. And here's that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
let's
wait,
see.
turn the other way.
Oh, this way?
Yep.
Okay.
And there's the pushy button.
Okay.
Forward. Otherwise, you'll go backwards. You'll have to
Okay.
see this again.
Well, my name is Bo Kraft, and I'm a volunteer at Soarin. I've been here for 5 years. And now I'm going to talk about a bird that we will not see in the United States unless they would be bred. They are indigenous to Africa, primarily in the Sudan. They're a bird of prey, just like what we have here at Soarin Hawk, but they're quite different. So I'm going to click my picture here. Look at that.
Go on, yeah.
I got the red light.
There you go.
There he is. Well, as you may see, this bird stands about 4 to 5 feet tall, from foot to head. It's said that he has the head of an eagle with the feet of a stork, stork-like feet. The harpy eagle got its name from their little, look like quill on the top of his head. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, there you go. Okay. These little feathers, well, the Europeans back in late 1800s coined that name secretary bird. But it's believed that the bird is has been named by in Arabic, or yeah, that's right, which means a fast bird. I don't really remember.
Okay. Well, they call it secretary bird because I think the secretaries back then used to stick the pens in their hair.
Yep. Yep. That's why they look like quills.
Like quills. Yeah.
And so when they saw this bird, that's why they called it that, because you would have a pen and a quill and some ink to write with. Ooh, there's
Oh,
a better picture.
wow.
I like this picture. Look at that. This bird eats, well, he'll eat mice and some other little like birds and whatever, but primarily he likes to eat snake. The only problem with that is if this bird, what they do is he stomps on it. He will stomp on his food and until the snake has lost his life. However, what happens is this bird will grab a venomous snake, and the venomous snake may try to bite the bird and could make him sick. So he's got to be really careful about how he tends to his food when it comes to snakes. There we go. There he is. He's stomping on it. And Bob, feel free to join in.
Yeah.
Bob is so good.
Well, let's not talk about that.
He is. Okay.
So yeah, so they'll go after anything. It's like a snake. And I hate to tell you this is a posed picture because that's a hose.
Oh.
That's a hose.
Wow.
But yeah, so but that's much the behavior of where they'll go down, and they'll use those talons to stomp on the victim, and also to hold it, and because it's really so as you get that beak in there and actually kill the snake. So it isn't like most raptors where they hold on and suffocate it. It'd be really hard to grab onto a snake and suffocate. So she gets it in the right position so she can get and bite it right behind the head and kill the snake before devouring it. And they do have some immunity to some of the snakes' venom. So it's and they will get into a lek. They'll get 14 or 15 of them will gather together, and the problem is that again there's no sexual dimorphism, so you can't really tell the boys from the girls. At least I couldn't. But they are impressive, and they can run like mad. They do fly, really, they do fly, but they pretty well stay on the ground. So we saw them out there in Africa, and this lek, and there were some jackals that were hanging around. So there was some food in there someplace, but we couldn't see it, and we weren't getting out of the vehicle to find it either.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoop.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, you're done. Okay.
Well, let me just say one more thing. The wingspan. They have a wingspan of about 7 feet.
Yep.
And they are you know, as Bob was saying, they do fly. And when I was reading up about this bird, I could not find basically how fast they fly or how far, but they do stand on the ground and they can walk 18 miles.
Yep.
So
Wow.
they can do that.
18 miles in a day.
Yeah, in a day. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're pretty widespread from South Africa all the way up on the east side of Africa, up to Ethiopia and over into the Sudan and back down. So
But I always thought this was a cool bird.
oh yeah.
You know, it's just a really neat looking bird. Like how, you know, you gotta love that.
I love that picture.
That's a great
You know?
picture. Well,
And sometimes I look at it right now and I see a hawk.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So-
It's related. It's in the family with falcons. Okay.
Okay.
The nearest relative is a falcon. So you might call these long-legged falcons
Oh yeah.
or crested falcons. I don't know, but anyways. But you know, the whole point to the exercise of looking at these other birds is there's more than what we see here in the States. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff out there, and there's similarities that we don't think about. You know, we look at these birds like harpy eagles. They hunt like Cooper's hawks. Okay, no soaring or very little soaring. You know, Cooper's hawks, if you watch them, they sit still, you know, before going after their prey. So they sit, so they do perch to perch, where they flush birds, you know. They do, or just sit and wait and see if somebody shows up. So you have similarities, but differences. And, well, that's what makes us all, you know, work together, you know. So some of us are different, and some of us are similar. So, but if you get an opportunity to go to some places, you never know where these birds are. Like, you know, I was in Spain, I get to see lammergowers, okay? So, you know, you don't think of that, you think of bullfighting or something. You have to go to Spain or,
So you saw the lammergowers in
the Pyrenees, yeah,
Okay.
freedom up in the Pyrenees,
Okay.
along with wall creepers, which are nuthatch-like birds that live in the mountains, go up the things. So, you know, so you never know where you're going to find a bird, you know? The birds are out there, they're flying around, and they're all over the place. So sometimes you don't really need to go to the art museum to enjoy life. You can go out there in the wild and see all these wonderful birds. So we're doing a good job because nobody's asking any questions or everybody hung up.
But
No,
the only thing
yeah, no
that I
questions.
know, oh, I'm sorry, is
That's
that
okay.
this bird can be seen if you go to the San Diego Zoo.
Okay, well, we could make a request down to Fort Wayne Zoo. They got that safari area. They could get a couple of those, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, so we could put some out
Oh,
there.
this- that's-
Oh yeah, I'll take that back. And I know at the World Bird Sanctuary they have some down there where a lot of the raptors are bred. And so if you if you're in St. Louis area, go to the World Bird Sanctuary and you go and see what they're doing with the birds, and you get to see some others. So, anybody got any questions yet?
No, we've had a lot of comments that these huge birds are so interesting and beautiful, and such great information that you're giving out. So,
Okay.
nice comments today.
Nice comments today, okay,
Yeah.
as opposed to the ones a couple weeks ago. No, I'm just kidding. so anyways, you know, so at our, whenever we get over the COVID thing and we all get back together as groups, we're gonna have more of these. We had, let's see, who did the honey buzzard? That was Robin Aldred did the honey buzzard, which is an interesting bird because they go to a honey nest, okay, or bees, and get the honey out. And we had also, what else did we have? We had the gymnogene, which has a method of actually turning its talons over so it can reach up into bird nests to pull the birds out. So there's all kinds of stuff out there, all kinds of unique things,
Yeah.
and you know, that's some similarities. Somebody has a question.
Yes. Is it true that vultures urinate on their feet to
Yes.
disinfect them?
They sure do.
Yes.
Yep. So it protects their feet, mainly for protection from heat, and I don't know if they do it in the wintertime to keep them warm, but I do know that so yeah, they do poop on their because poop is made up of two things. Okay, they don't have a separate urinary tract like we do. So basically everything comes out the same hole, and so so you have urine or urates, if you want to call them that, and then you have the ooh part, okay, and so They have 2 parts to it, so yeah, they do. So that's why a lot of the vultures look like they have white feet. I'm sorry. Anything else?
No other questions.
Well, I don't know. I think that's done this for today. I'm sorry.
Yes.
We're kind of a little short on time, but I have more, but it would take us until tomorrow to get through
Yeah.
all. So
So,
until next time, I think we may have a chance to look at our new aviary that's going up, right?
yes, I didn't know, but yes.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
all
it's
for
about
that.
2/3 covered now. So we're going to have the new aviary up, and that's going to allow us to do some non-creance flying. Give these birds a chance to really get some exercise. So maybe by next week we'll have the new aviary, and we'll give you a chance. So you have something you want to say there today? No, you don't have anything you want to say. Okay.
No, I don't.
And
Thanks.
I think we also have a pleasant announcement to make next week, I believe, and so. Well,
Yep.
so you have to be ready for it because you're going to be really surprised what's coming next week. Yeah, I forgot all about that. So yeah, so we may have another birthday party.
Maybe.
We may have another birthday party. Shh. But I guess it's not
Going to be a surprise.
party. It's not going to be a surprise. So anything else? No.
No.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye, and this time she's going to turn it off, and I'm going to stand still until I'm officially off the air before I say any potty words. Okay? We'll see you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Okay. We'll see.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you later.